Episode 131, episode 131, Prince and Barty. What's going on, man?
Ready to chop it up, man. So much going on in the world of sport. Let's dive in.
Before we get started, man, we want to give our love, thoughts, and prayers to Jamaica, man. You know, our island, all my Caribbeans out there, anybody Jamaican, any family, friends, anybody who's been affected by Hurricane Melissa, man. We with y'all. We love y'all. We're going to try to do all we can to support the cause. So look out for stuff from us. And we got some cool stuff coming up, turkey drives, and we'll have more info for you ASAP. But let's get right into it, man. Let's talk about the Philadelphia 76ers, man. Are they for real? You know, BJ's doing his thing. X's doing his thing. Everybody's doing their thing, man. What do you think they could become once PG's back? Once they get Embiid off minute restrictions, what can they become?
The Sixers can be probably one of the best teams in the league. We're looking at the best backcourt in the league. We're looking at the best team as far as when you look at Joel Embiid, when you look at DJ Edgecombe, when you look at what's going on with the team, and they are seriously one of the best squads we've seen right now. DJ Edgecombe is the odds-on rookie of the year. I'm loving what they're doing in Philly. I'm loving what the coach is doing. It is seriously a contender.
Now, let me ask you this, man. It's like what they say, once the genie's out of the bottle, man, you can't put it back in. It's out, right? What do
Mhm.
you think about Maxey? A lot of people are gonna say, hey, that's Joel Embiid's team, the MVP, gold medalist. You know what Joel Embiid is when healthy. But young fella got it going. It's a quote, him talking about Harden, how Harden instilled that confidence in Maxey. Maxey's a killer, man. Kid has no quit. He's gonna go as hard as possible on that court, man. So if you're Nick Nurse, if you're, Daryl Morey, how do you kind of manage that? Are we looking at another Kobe Shaq situation with Maxey and Embiid?
I don't necessarily think so. I think that Embiid is not healthy, so he has not a leg to stand on. If he had a leg to stand on, then he could say something. When you look at
Literally.
when Shaq was there, Shaq was a dominant force. Embiid hasn't been dominant for 2 years. I mean, 2 years ago we were talking about who's the best center, Nikola Jokic or Joel Embiid. Now we're talking about it's a landslide. So, and the big man is not as vocal point anymore. I mean, there's more of a comparison of the best big man with Giannis or Wemby with Joker than it would be with Embiid. So it's Tyrese Maxey's team. It's this. There's no question about it. And what you watch, what he's doing, not just from an NBA standpoint, but fantasy, he might be the biggest name out there.
For sure, man. Speaking of fantasy, man, let's talk fantasy, man. We go to you for all things fantasy. First, let's start with the NBA, man. A lot of people don't know Barty has been trying to get me in NBA fantasy leagues, NFL fantasy leagues for as long as I've known him, 15 plus years trying to get me in. It's just not for me, man. He might convince me one year. I like the prizes. He give away the best prize. He got championship belts, rings. Make sure you join the Prince and Barty Sports Leagues, man. Fantasy football, NBA. We'll take care of you, bro. But what is the mindset? You already explained to us what the approach is for fantasy football. When you're doing NBA fantasy, what is your mindset as far as selecting players and your strategy?
The mindset is really who has the most games in the week. You want to draft somebody who has maybe 3 to 4 games a week and someone who is a major player. A Wemby, a Nikola Jokic, a Giannis, a Tyrese Maxey. One of the biggest names out there, of course, is Luka Doncic. When Luka scores, like he scored those 91 points with the assists and the rebounds, we're looking at 200-point nights, and who really can do that? And that's the crazy thing. So when you get in a 40-point trip dub, you're getting major points. And now you get 4 nights of that. That's 500 to 600 points. What can we really do to master or match that? The only people who can match it would be a Wemby, would be a Joker. And so these are players that you want to draft and you want to build around them. People who fill the stat sheet. The thing with basketball, you fill the stat sheet more because you got players like a Russell Westbrook, you got players like a Tyrese Maxey, you have players that these guys will fill the stat sheet and they will kill the whole NBA.
Do you think it's as competitive as, I know fantasy football, that's almost embedded in stone and culture. And I know it's only 17 weeks, so people take it more serious. But when it comes to basketball, do you find is it as competitive as fantasy football, or what's the vibe like that in those leagues?
It's competitive, but you know what the problem with it is? Why it's not as competitive? One of the major things that's a problem with basketball fantasy is it's a daily thing. You got families, you got kids, you got school, you got work. Like it's hard to keep up with this. With the NFL, you only worry about Thursday, sometimes Saturday and Sunday. Now you got to worry about Monday night. And if it's 3 games on Tuesday, you don't set your lineup. What if Wemby plays that night? You missed out on 200 points from Wemby. So you got to press the button every day. And then one thing for me, you know, my schedule, with the church and everything else is going on, it's kind of hard. So some days I'll be so focused on work, and we know you behind the camera, you know, working where you're at. It's the same point. Some days you're gonna forget to hit the start button, and then you literally miss out on 300, 350 points for the week, and that's the difference between a win and a loss, and that's the situation.
That's real, man. But let's stay with fantasy, man. You know, a lot of times like the OGs, the pioneers, they miss out on the acclaim. They miss out on the money. Let's be real. They don't get paid like, you know, I don't want to call nobody out, man, but you look at a lot of these players getting these crazy deals, 25 plus million a year for role players, you know, real role players, right? So when you look at where we are in sports culture, we're in a very analytical era, right? Everything has to go by, you know, the numbers and, you know, PER and quarterback ranking and things of that nature. But when you look at some of the all-time great NFL players, what players, I guess, on the offensive side and defensive side would probably dominate fantasy football if they were in today's era? What quarterback, what defensive player do you look at like, or running back, like, yo, they would dominate this era?
That's a good question. Man, what quarterback will dominate this era? Maybe what we talking old school, I'd probably go Joe Money. Joe Money would definitely dominate this era. When you look at what Joe Montana was able to do with that West Coast offense in this era, in the era that we're in now, we're literally looking at, okay, Roger Craig, John Taylor, a Jerry Rice, a receiver in Brent Jones, that literally you will be putting up Patrick Mahomes style numbers. And that's the crazy part. It's just so much going on. And that's the issue.
I like
Okay. Okay. They call it the triplets. We look at the NFL, and when we see the NFL, the Dallas Cowboys had Michael Irvin, they had Emmitt Smith, they had Troy Aikman. Now we look at the college game of the triplets. This is a new segment from Prince and Barty called Prince and Barty Triplets College Edition. When we look at you, man, who would you say is the triplets of history, all-time history triplets of the University of Miami?
Man, when I think of it's wild. It's so historic, bro. Just the Two Live Crew to the hip hop culture, you know, being in South Florida with the gold Dookie rope chains, just like it just was a dope time. But for me, when I think of the U, I gotta go Michael Irvin for sure. I gotta go Ray Lewis, and I gotta go Sean T. Rest in peace, Sean Taylor. Those are the three I think of. And for me, my honorable mention gotta be Ed Reed, and I'm gonna go Edgerrin James.
Okay, what about let's look at Florida State. Florida State, you know, we live in Florida. That's the rivalry state. Who is the all-time triplets of Florida State? And I already know who you're gonna jump with already, but I'm gonna let you call him out because he's Mr. Florida State himself.
Oh, come on, Dion, man. We going Coach Prime, man. Dion, first round draft pick. Then I'm gonna go Peter Warwick, man. Peter Warwick is one of my favorite receivers ever on any level. And then I'm gonna go OG, man. I'm gonna go Warwick Dunn. I'm gonna go Warwick Dunn. So I'm gonna go Peter Warwick, Dion, Warwick Dunn.
Definitely, man. Definitely. Y'all check it out. Let us know, man. College edition of the triplets. Who are you rocking with? Who's the all-time three? Who it could be anybody. It could be USC, it could be Ohio State, it even could be the Fighting Irish, Notre Dame. But we're doing this, the new style, triplets, Prince and Barty. Back to the show, man. Back from a commercial break. You know how we do it. Real talk, Prince. So we looking at the state of the NFL. You know, it's the Barty report. You look at Patrick Mahomes. You look at the NFL. Is it now a going on conclusion that it's going to be a rematch when you look at what the Eagles are doing and what the Kansas City Chiefs are doing for the Super Bowl?
That's what it's looking like. But I think for you guys, I think the Chiefs have an easier road. Obviously, you know, a lot of injuries. You know, Lamar fighting for his life. The Bengals are, you know what I mean. So the AFC, the road, it's an easy road travel. But your road, I think, is a little harder. NFC stronger. You got Detroit out there. You got obviously the Rams playing good ball. I think the Eagles are a defensive mistake away, possibly. I think Jalen's going to be strong. But as far as the Chiefs, I think they're trending up at the right time, getting Worthy back, getting Rice in the mix. Like it's just he has a plethora of weapons. Patrick Mahomes with time in the pocket and weapons, you can just cancel Christmas, as they say.
Another thing that jumps off the page, you got Torrey Holt in the history of the wide receiver position. You have Anquan Bolden, the history of the wide receiver position. And now in Seattle, we have Smith and Jigba. Jackson Smith and Jigba is a beast. He's balling. He leads the league 850 yards. He's catching passes from Sam Darnold. The same Sam Darnold that used to play in New York. The same Sam Darnold that used to play in Carolina. The same Sam Darnold that played for the Minnesota Vikings. What is it about this Smith and Jigma? I mean, he has so much in his game, so much in his bag. We talk about Jamar Chase, we talk about Devontae, we even talk about Puka Nakua, but Smith and Jigma is the face of the Seattle Seahawks. What's your take on it?
100%, man. I feel like a lot of those comeback quarterbacks, like the Darnolds and these guys, they always have that receiver, man. You know what I mean? They always kind of have that receiver to make them look better than they possibly really are. But that kid's a monster, man. Puts the work in, and what Seattle's doing. And let's roll the tape. I said the Seahawks are going to be decent. Did I not? We got to roll. I got to.
No, 100%. You just said it.
I was like, hey, those are my sleepers, man. Because it's like, what do you got to lose, man? You make the trades, you get the key pieces you need. What do you got to lose? You got rid of Geno. It's a fresh new start, and they cashing in right now, man. So I think the sky's the limit, man. It's interesting to see these second chance quarterbacks are really interesting in the league right now. And like you always say, systems make quarterbacks, and we're seeing it now, man. Right system or wrong system, it could be a death sentence.
Injuries, man. Let's talk injuries real quick. Now, what injury seems bigger to you? The injury of McCarthy and Carson Wentz, or what we've seen recently with Anthony Davis and the Dallas Mavericks? Which one jumps more off on the page? We're trying to really look at it from what the Mavericks are looking at and what the Vikings are looking at. What's your take?
It depends on your thoughts on the Vikings. I mean, do you think the Vikings are currently in the Super Bowl hunt or contenders with McCarthy or Wentz at quarterback? Do you believe strongly either one of them? If we're being honest, I don't know, man. You know about Wentz better than me. Wentz could look all world, and Wentz is gonna Wentz. Last minute pick sixes, just those little attention to details that often slip through the cracks of Carson Wentz, man. But in any other situation, he looks amazing. But in this situation, I'm gonna go Anthony Davis, man, because Kyrie's already hurt. You make the trade for Luka that was met with controversy. The NBA rigs it so you get Cooper Flag, and now you got Cooper. He's flying up and down the court, ticket sales. NBA posts him every second, and now, boom, plain clothes Davis, man. He can't escape that name. And first of all, I pray that it's not an Achilles. I don't know. I think that's what they're saying it officially is. I don't know. But these Achilles injuries, man, it's unfortunate. And if I'm Anthony Davis, man, he's not super young with an injury like this to fight back. And he already had the eye situation. So you got to feel bad for the guy, man. He's dealing with a back before when he got traded over there. So as we know, man, health has always been a factor. And without Anthony Davis, they're a middle of the pack team in the West. I just don't see them making any strides without AD's defense and versatility. What you think about it?
I definitely agree with you. I mean, it's not just Anthony that's the problem. It's Kyrie. Both of these guys, they both stay hurt. I mean, LeBron has played with two of the most hurt players or off the court issue players, and Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis. The thing that jumps off on the page for me is the reason why I see the correlation between them and Minnesota is because both teams were talked about as winners. We thought that if the Dallas Mavericks was healthy, they would be a winning organization. They would probably be the favorite in the West. They thought that they would make the most noise versus OKC, the most noise versus Houston. And currently, we're seeing the injuries are a problem. Then when you look at Minnesota, Minnesota won with 14 games last year. They had a great offense. They had Sam Darnold. The defense was rocking. And now they don't have a quarterback. The defense can't stop anybody. They look like the same Minnesota Vikings before Randy Moss. before Randall Cunningham, where they don't have a clear cut quarterback. Is it Dante Culpepper? Is it Brad Johnson? You don't know what you have. It's the same with the Dallas Mavericks. Is it Kyrie Irving or is it Cooper Flag running point guard? Is it AD at the power forward or is Blake Lively and Gafford? And I'm sorry, Derek Lively and Gafford the bigs in the paint. I mean, you really don't know what you're gonna get on both squads, and it's scary. Jason Kidd is basically working with a infirmary, and you don't know what he's doing. And it's the same for the quarterback. I mean, the head coach in Minnesota. Both teams have the same correlation. Injuries are an issue. You got some high profile players, history making players on both squads and their careers are taking a plummet because they've put their stock into players that just can't stay healthy, that they're tissue paper. But I mean, we'll see what happens going forward with both squads because I mean, at least the NBA is more of a marathon and the NFL is a sprint.
Uh, That's real, man. I think about like I'm big on body language. I'm big on, when a play messes up, how they zoom in on the head coach's face to see how he reacts. And I'm big on that, man, as a sports fan. And it's three guys I watch for the most with that this season in the NFL. That's Kevin Stefanski, that's Ben Johnson, and that's Mike McDaniel. I feel like those three dudes, every time Caleb do something crazy, Ben Johnson just looks like he just wants to just kill himself, bro. Like, not to put it out there like that, but he just looks just so frustrated when Caleb makes these dumb mistakes, man. Caleb will come out, go 7 for 7, and then he'll play hero ball. You know what I mean? Tua, if you're Mike McDaniel fighting for your job and that's your quarterback, he's up, he's down. And obviously, man, Stefanski with Dylan Gabriel, Shador questions every day. Which coach do you think, I'm not going to say under the most pressure, but which coach do you think needs to get it right? McDaniels might be a lame duck. He might be out of here, but like out of those three, who needs to get it right ASAP?
Probably McDaniels because he's had more to work with. Stefanski really never had a quarterback. I mean, we see what Flacco's doing with good receivers, but he really never had a quarterback. When you look at McDaniels, McDaniels had Tua. They put the money into Tua. They put the money into Tyree. They had the fastest backfield in the league in A Chain and Moisture. Now they're 1-7. Terrible, just terrible. They're going into a Thursday night where you don't know what's going to happen. I got the purple on. Look like your boy gonna come back and run for 100 yards and pass for 300 versus that Miami defense. So I mean, when you really look at it, it's all or nothing for McDaniel because I don't see him surviving past week 11. If they still got one win by week 11, he's fired, and then you better go ahead and get that check for that $100. You already know.
No, that's real. Speaking of Lamar, man, it was reported that Lamar took all the video games out the facility. The TVs are off. The ping pong tables are gone. It's no fun and games no more in Baltimore, man. Obviously, man, they under the gun. They got to win out. They got to win some games. Shit, a lot of good luck has to happen in their favor. A lot of people got to lose, possibly get injured for them to probably even make that wild card game. But we'll see. I think it's possible, though, according to Vegas. But what's a successful season for Lamar Jackson in Baltimore at this point as they fight
And
back?
Super Bowl or bust. That's it.
Still?
No, of course. Of course. No. You have all this money. They compare you to Patrick Mahomes. They compare you to Joe Burrow. People are telling me in my chat that he's better than Jalen Hurts. Do you know how many times I get annoyed that I get all this Jalen Hurts slander and Jalen don't have to deal with, listen, Josh Allen gets bail money, Joe Burrows gets bail money, Lamar Jackson gets the most bail money. And then you look at the plateau of the quarterback position, it's Brady or Mahomes. But like there's no one who is even in the class of Mahomes. But when you look at it, Jalen Hurts has a winning record versus Patrick Mahomes. He has a winning record, but he gets no love. I'm sick of it. I'm tired of it. I don't want to hear about Lamar till he wins a Super Bowl. He's had more talent on his team than the Eagles. Defensively, they've always had a better defense than Philly. Last year was the best defense that Philly had. Offensively, you can argue. You can argue Philly's offense is better. But even then, last year, Zay Flowers, Likely, and Mark Andrews. You have the running back and King Henry. You have Lamar, who is by far has more in his bag than Patrick Mahomes. He has more in his bag than Jalen Hurts. I'm sick of the excuses. I don't want to hear the head coach. I don't want to hear it. It's Super Bowl or bust. Stop giving the man a pass. We talk about him like he's the best. Look, I've had people tell me, and they say that Lamar is a top 10 quarterback all time because what he can do on the field. Bro, if we're ranking him like that, then I'm saying Vince Carter's top 5 all time. Because Vince and Lamar is the same player. Vince could do more than Michael Jordan, but that doesn't mean he's greater than Jordan. Doesn't mean he's greater than Kobe. Doesn't mean he's greater than LeBron. Like, stop ranking Lamar so high when he's nothing more than the Vince Carter of the NFL. And that's my take. Lamar Jackson is the Vince Carter of the NFL till he wins a championship. He continues to underachieve. We continue to give him passes. Yes, he has MVPs, but as you said to me the other day, the NFL is about winning. It's not about trophies. If it was about trophies, we would not have Dan Marino so low on the list. Because if it was about trophies, then Dan the Man is the best quarterback of all time. Point blank, period.
Boom! You heard that? You heard Barty, bro. Hey, he not playing with y'all, man. Y'all get in his comments and DMs. Leave me out of this. But man, let's hold on one sec. We still here. All right. Man, I'm a big sneakerhead. Barty will tell you I don't even want to put myself out there like that. I got a lot of shoes, man. And I was thinking, when it comes to Nike, Jordan, Adidas, they pretty much dominate, basketball, NBA specifically, right? And I started thinking about Shaq, Shaq was with Reebok. So what if Shaq was with Nike? What does that do for the trajectory of his career? Everybody loves Shaq. You can't turn your TV on. You can't turn on YouTube without seeing him in a commercial, him on TV. Wherever Shaq is doing, it's big, it's major. Him DJing, him on a TV show. Shaq is definitely a tycoon. And I look up to him as far as being a businessman. But when you look at some of the great big men of Tim Duncan, his shoes, David Robinson, Charles Barkley, Kevin Garnett, some of the great big men have had great Nike signature shoes. Obviously, Giannis now, as of late, taking over the torch for the big man. But what would Shaq's popularity be, which is crazy to say, if he was with Nike? Would he be bigger, more iconic? What is your take?
When we look at Michael Jordan, the rings, the things he did on the court is 50% of why he's a billionaire. The other 50 is Nike. Shaq is not a billionaire. Shaq is maybe 600, 700 million dollars. He owns a lot of different things. His estate, everything is there. But as far as close to the billions, he's not there. He would be richer than LeBron, richer than Mike, richer than everybody who ever played the game. He dominated the game in a way that no one dominated a sport. Shaq's dominance in those 3 years was more dominant than Barry Sanders, Emmitt Smith, Barry Bonds. There was nothing you could do to him. You had Chris Dudley throwing basketballs at him, for God's sakes. Like, we talk about Shaquille O'Neal. He was a bad man. And you pair that up with Nike. What we saw the movie for what they did for Jordan in the movie, their marketing plan, how they put everything together. You market Shaq. Shaq has more of a personality than LeBron, I think, and Mike put together. His
For
personality
sure.
is amazing. And then he gives back to the hood. Everybody wants to follow Shaquille O'Neal. Everybody would have been wearing his shoes. Everybody would have been purchasing it. We probably would be talking about the Shaq's 23s right now coming out. I'm getting them in the Carolina blues or the purple colors of the Raven colors. Like, Shaq still to this day will be having so much endorsement money coming in, it would be crazy. But I mean, we know Shaq is
No,
about giving back, and so that's why
for sure.
that's who he is. And it's not a knock to Shaq, but I'm just saying
Yeah.
it would have put
Yeah.
more mystique to his career, the mystique of Shaquille
No,
O'Neal.
I agree, man. Like, you took words out my mouth. Like, he's obviously a philanthropist. He does it all. Made affordable sneakers for a lot of people. Bought pumps were come on, they were a phenomenon. You know what I'm saying? But you imagine Shaq sitting on the rim, that famous Shaq logo with a Nike swoosh behind it. Whew. And Reebok, no disrespect to Reebok, but Shaq with Nike would have been, I can't even process it in my mind. It would have been crazy, man, for sure.
Definitely, definitely.
But we want to hear from y'all, man. We want y'all to tap into the comments, tap into everything. We're really trying to grow our YouTube even more. We appreciate the love on TikTok, the love on IG, all over, but we want to grow this YouTube. help us get to 10,000 subs. You know, we have 4,000 now. Help us build this page up, man. We love and appreciate y'all. You know, we mainly posting shorts right now, but we're gonna do long form stuff. But we want to keep y'all entertained. So any ideas, any topics y'all want to talk about for episode 132, we are all ears, man. Anything you want to get into, big brother?
Real quick, one thing I got for you, man. Cut 3, keep 4, safety edition. All time safeties. Let's do it. All right. I got Jamal Adams from the Seattle days.
I'm gonna cut him. I'm gonna cut him though.
All right. You already
I might
know.
regret that.
Okay. John Lynch. John Lynch from the Denver Bronco days.
Give me Lynch just because his aura is mystique. I'm gonna take Lynch.
Okay. Let's take it up a notch. BD, Mr. Brian Dawkins, said he took his soul when he hit him from the Eagles.
That's your boy too. So I got Lynch and Lynch knocking heads off. Let me get BD. We just gonna be knocked. We gonna be no hits.
Okay. So you done kept 2. Remember now, you only got 1 more key, and you got
I know.
3 more cuts. All right.
I know who I need.
Okay. We'll see what you do. The next one I got is Troy Polamalu.
Cut him because I know where we going. I gotta cut him.
He cut Troy. He cut Troy.
Tough.
Okay. Next one I got for you. The next one I got for you is rest in peace to the late great Sean Taylor.
Oh my God. You know what? I'm gonna go Sean T. I'm gonna take Sean T. And I know Ed Reed out there. I know it's greats out there, but my 3 is dogs, underdogs. Just I like who I got, man. I like who I got.
So,
Troy, it killed me not to pick Troy though.
Okay, so you cut Jamal Adams, you kept John Lynch, you kept Brian Dawkins, you kept Sean Taylor, and you cut Troy Polamalu. The last 2 that you could have kept was Cam Chancellor, the other safety, and finally, you already know what it is, that great phenom from Ed Reed.
I already know it, man. But you know, I already committed, and I was like, you know what, man? Let me just keep it all first team, all underground, all hits, man. So, but the great salute to Ed Reed, bro. One of the greats. Polamalu. That was one of the better ones. That might have been the best one we did.
But
as far as everybody you named.
Y'all let us know what you think. Did we name all the great safeties in our cut 3? I mean, keep 3, cut 4. You know, tap in, YouTube. Tap in, comment, like, subscribe. You know what it is, the best sports show in the world. Prince and Vardy, we out here doing big things.
See episode 130.
We out.